This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth. A leaked document which allegedly called for the apprehension of the unvaccinated has been exposed as being fake. So today we're going to take a deep dive into this psychological operation, and we're going to ask the question, who would want to release such a thing? And more importantly, why would they want to put this out there, guys? So today we're going to look at this document calling on feds to apprehend unvaccinated is fake, Ontario officials say. A document circulating online about apprehending unvaccinated people in Ontario is fake and has been sent to the police for investigation, the government says. Guys, we're going to get deep into this one, guys, so stick with me all the way to the end. But before we do, I'd ask that you check us out here at pressfortruth.ca/donate. Here you can do a one-time donation with PayPal. You can contribute some Bitcoin by clicking on that banner. You can become a patron of mine by clicking on the Patreon banner there. We also accept other cryptocurrencies here. Here you can sign up for a monthly reoccurring contribution where you don't have to give a percentage to a third party like Patreon. You can also send an e-transfer to dan@pressfortruth.ca. And if you like to keep it old school and you prefer cash or checks or equipment, or simply just words of encouragement, that can all be sent to my P.O. box. Links, again, are all located in the description below. Thanks so much to anybody who has contributed to my efforts. All right, guys. This is the document in question. As you can see here, it appears to have been written by Christine Elliott, the Deputy Premier and Minister of Health, and Sylvia Jones, the Solicitor General. And it is addressed to the Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness, Bill Blair, and the Minister of Health, Patty Hadju. And as you can see here in the very top paragraph, in the opening paragraph, they request an immediate action for all provinces and territories for mandatory draft criminalization and apprehension of Canadians who are not fully vaccinated. And the document goes on over here to show that there are various loopholes that need to be closed, they say, which give Canadians the ability to get around these vaccine mandates. So this is the document in question, so let's dive into it. The letter is forged to look as if it was written by Health Minister Christine Elliott and Solicitor General Sylvia Jones. It is addressed to Federal Minister of Emergency Preparedness Bill Blair and Health Minister Jean-Yves Duclos. Right away, there's a discrepancy here. I mean, let's take a look at that again. It's Bill Blair and Patty Hadju, but CTV News here says it's addressed to Bill Blair and Jean-Yves Duclos. I mean, there's an odd discrepancy there, so I'm already kind of losing a little bit of trust in this mainstream news article. It's like, okay, what's going on here, right? It's manufactured to look like Elliott and Jones are calling for the federal governments to criminalize being unvaccinated and apprehend those who are new. The Ministry of Health, Ministry of Health has contacted the OPP over a fake Ontario government letter that some in the anti-vax movement are circulating. Elliott's office says no such letter has ever been drafted or sent. It has come to our attention that a manufactured letter falsely claimed to be sent from Minister Elliott and Minister Jones on December 3rd is circulating online. No such letter has ever been drafted or sent from Minister Elliott or Minister Jones. Falsifying documents is a criminal offense, and as such, this matter has been referred to the Ontario Provincial Police. They link to where these documents were being shared online. It says here, it's come to our attention that a manufactured letter falsely claiming to be sent from Minister Elliott and Minister Jones on December 3rd is circulating online, the minister themselves said. No such letter has ever been drafted or sent from Minister Elliott or Minister Jones. The government said falsifying documents is a criminal offense, and it has been referred to the Ontario Provincial Police for investigation. Well, you know who else has been investigating this, guys? I have. I've been looking at it very closely, and I know exactly where the finger of blame needs to be pointed, who suspect number one is right now, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Canadian military. And there's lots of good reasons to say that. In case you've forgotten about this, guys, I have to bring it back to your attention. Canadian military wants to establish a new organization to use propaganda and other techniques in order to influence Canadians. The Canadian Forces wants to establish a new organization. Remember, this is way back last year, November of last year. that would use propaganda and other techniques to try to influence the attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors of Canadians, according to documents obtained by this paper. The plan comes on the heels of the Canadian Forces spending more than $1 million to train public affairs officers on behavior modification techniques of the same sort used by the parent firm Cambridge Analytica, as well as a controversial and bizarre propaganda training mission in which the military forged letters from the Nova Scotia government to warn the public that wolves were wandering around in the province, guys, and I covered that extensively when it came out. Here's the letter in question, forged letter, warning about wolves on the loose. Part of Canadian Forces propaganda campaign that went awry, guys. I put it out here in this video, Canadian military fake wolves fear campaign exposed, but you won't believe what they're doing next. The Canadian military has been caught using psychological warfare to scare their own people into believing that there is an immediate threat from wolves in the area. They even went so far as to install loudspeakers that would produce wolf sounds in order to fully sell the threat to the people of Nova Scotia. And now, on the heels of being caught manipulating the public, the Canadian government just announced that they will soon be creating a new organization to use propaganda and other techniques to influence Canadians. In this video, Dan Dix of Press for Truth explains how this propaganda will work and is working, and what its intended goals are, and what you can do to help stop the spread of government-sponsored misinformation. I was also on the Corbett Report, corbettreport.com, to report on this. Dan Dix of Press for Truth joins us to delve deeper into the insane story of the Canadian military fake wolves PSYOP. We go beyond the ludicrous story of the government using fake wolves to scare people and the public into discovering that the Canadian military is now openly announcing that they are targeting the Canadian public themselves with their newly weaponized public affairs department. The Canadian military has declared war on Canada. Will Canadians even notice? Well, that brings us to this leaked document, ladies and gentlemen, because in the case of the forged letter that came, again, from the military, this is a case of one that went awry, where they got caught, faking this fake government letter, and it wasn't supposed to get out there in the way that they did. Well, I think this is a case of the Canadian military putting out a fake document, but purposefully getting caught. Why would they do this, guys? It's for the reasons of putting out a red herring, and I'm going to explain that. And it's important to understand what this means, because recently I used this as an example. You may recall the Wayfair conspiracy is a PSYOP red herring designed to distract you from the truth, where here we have this Wayfair company who it was alleged that they were involved in child sex trafficking. And that, they were shipping kids around in these containers. And I put out this expose showing how that was just a huge red herring, which means that it was not true. It was a conspiracy theory that was designed and put out there on purpose to distract you from the truth. Remember, this is back in July of 2020, almost a year and a half ago. We're talking, before the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, for example, which is going on right now. So they knew some major things are going to be coming out about child sex trafficking rings. So they had to put out a bit of a red herring there, so that when people look into that, they say, "Oh, that's already been thoroughly debunked." Well, that's exactly what's happening now with this document. Is that when people do talk about the plan to round up unvaccinated Canadians and put them into COVID camps, people will now, the media will point to documents like this to say, that's already been debunked. We've already heard about that conspiracy theory. It's proven to be a fake. We already heard about the fake letter. That's just a debunked conspiracy theory. When the real truth of the matter is, guys, this is real. This is going on. This is going to become our reality. In fact, it's already happening here in Canada. You may recall I interviewed this girl who escaped, how I escaped a secretive government quarantine hotel in Richmond, BC. It was just wild. And then I went there to investigate what was going on. You may recall the police set me up. I was detained and fined $2,000 under the Quarantine Act for trying to expose to you the fact that this stuff is going on. Guys, I don't know if you remember this video. Starts here, me, pointing out how I'm being, detained.
I'm currently being
held by the police.
Arrested.
Again, it's because I went down there to investigate this quarantine facility, which they're trying to claim is not a real thing. I exposed it for what it is. They arrested me, detained me, fined me $2,000. I'm still dealing with that, by the way, guys. And the point is, this is not the stuff of conspiracy theory. I mean, look at this. This is already happening in Australia. Human rights, Australian woman kept in COVID camp, threatened with fines. I don't know if you heard about the 3 teenagers who escaped, and they were just arrested after escaping from Howard Springs COVID quarantine facility, ladies and gentlemen. So this is not the stuff of conspiracy theory. This is conspiracy fact. People are conspiring to round up the unvaccinated and put them into camps. That's why they had to release this fake document, which is just a red herring designed to distract you from the truth. And once again, what is that truth, ladies and gentlemen? That they do have ill intentions. They do have a plan for the unvaccinated, and it does include rounding people up and putting them into camps. Again, they need to release this red herring now. As I explained earlier, exactly like how with this Wayfair PSYOP went down in the lead up to the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. By the way, do you like my Christmas sweater? Let's see if you can see all that. I think you get the gist of that. But fast forward a year and a half, guys, and we go from that to the Canadian military being caught forging these letters. They then moved on to announcing that they're going to establish a new organization to use propaganda and other techniques in order to influence Canadians. And now we come across these so-called leaked documents, right? Which I think was actually put out there on purpose by the Canadian military. We've seen them engage in these types of psychological operations before. We know they have an agenda and a new organization to do just that, which should be a huge red flag to you guys to understand that when we see things like this, we know now that truly is a part of the agenda. It truly is a part of the plan, guys. So please share this video. Get this information out there. They're going to use this to just call you guys a conspiracy theorist when you try to warn people about what's actually coming. We need to, clear up the muddy waters here. So please share this one. Click the thumbs up button. Leave comments. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Just wanted to bring that to your attention. Document calling on the feds to apprehend unvaccinated is fake, but I'm saying it's coming directly from the Canadian military for the purposes of a psychological operation to manipulate the minds of the masses of the Canadian people to think that it's just some kind of bunk conspiracy theory that they're going to round up the unvaxxed and put them in camps, just like we're seeing happen openly in Australia and secretly here in Canada. Guys, check the links in the description below if you haven't seen any of these videos where I went down to the quarantine facility and ended up getting detained and fined. The interview that I did with the girl who managed to escape from a quarantine facility in Richmond. The Wayfair videos, guys, check that out. My interview with James Corbett, my expose on the Canadian Wolves psychological PSYOP. All of this is going to be located in the description below. That's all for today, guys. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to check the links in the description if you want to find out how you can support my efforts here to continue to counter all this propaganda. And that's all for today, guys. Thanks again so much for watching. Stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.